US equities closed solidly lower, with the major indexes posting another week of losses. The markets met some resistance the past two sessions as they brace for an aggressive Fed policy tightening cycle, with Chairman Powell saying yesterday a 50 basis point rate hike is on the table for the May 4 decision. Powell's comments came amid a panel with other central banks out of Europe, which look to keep expectations of monetary policy tightening around the globe intact. Earnings season continued to roll on, with Dow member American Express topping expectations but reporting a jump in expenses and reaffirming its guidance, while Dow component Verizon Communications slightly exceeded earnings estimates and issued a cautious guidance. Elsewhere, Gap cut its full year sales growth and announced the departure of its Old Navy president and CEO. To no avail, the economic calendar was on the brighter side, with key preliminary April reads on manufacturing and services sector activity still suggesting expansion, with the former unexpectedly accelerating. Treasuries were mixed, and the US dollar rebounded, while crude oil and gold prices were lower. Europe finished with widespread losses, and stocks in Asia were mostly lower, with the markets digesting the commentary from the central banks along with a host of manufacturing and services data. Okay, the Dow Jones plunged 981 points, which is its worst day since June 2020. The S&P declined 122 points, which is a loss of 2.8% to 4,272. The Nasdaq dropped 335 points, a loss of 2.6% to 12,839. In moderate volume, 4.5 billion shares on New York Stock Exchange listed stocks were traded, and 4.3 billion shares changed hands in the Nasdaq. WTI crude shed $1.72 to close at $102.07 per barrel. Elsewhere, the gold spot price traded at $13.10, lower to 1,100 lower to $1,135.10 per ounce, and the dollar index was 0.6% higher at 101.15. Markets were lower for another week, as the Dow was down 1.9%, S&P 500 lost 2.8%, and Nasdaq tumbled 3.8%. So what should we expect this coming week? The week that is beginning on the 25th of April. So on Monday, the 25th of April, Coca-Cola is expected to report a rise in its first quarter revenue, aided by higher prices and a rebound in demand for its sodas at theaters and restaurants. Investors will pay close attention to the company's outlook on the impact of cost inflation and its decision to suspend operations in Russia. Coca-Cola is, by some means, it can be a barometer for testing what's going on economically. By some means, not especially as it concerns inflation. So Activision Blizzard is expected to show a fall in its first quarter revenue, hurt by low demand for its latest Call of Duty title. Investors will focus on Microsoft's deal to buy the video games publisher. So Intel Corp and Fortress Investment Group affiliated VLSI Technology begin their third trial in Texas over claims Intel's computer chips infringed VLSI's patents. So, moving on. On Thursday, which will be the 29th, Apple Inc. is expected to show a rise in first quarter revenue. However, investors will watch for comments on the impact of COVID-19 related shutdowns in China. on production and lower demand for iPhones in an inflationary environment. So, Apple is also regarded as the savings account of America. So it's very important, very important stock. Amazon.com will report first quarter earnings on Thursday after the bell. The online retailer is grappling with rising costs for wages and shipping, as well as workers at several of its warehouses seeking to unionize for better wages and working conditions. On Tuesday, the 26th, the Google parent Alphabet Inc. is expected to show a rise in first quarter revenue as online advertisers spend heavily on YouTube and other services. Okay, but I think this expenditure on YouTube may have dropped of late, but before that maybe it was still strong. But I think I'm expecting a drop in expenditure in this quarter. I believe in the next report they are going to come up with after this one that is coming up on Tuesday. So comments on the impact. Okay, that's comments on the impact of supply chain snags, inflation, and the Ukraine war on the company's business will be watched. On Tuesday, Microsoft is expected to report a rise in third quarter revenue driven by a demand for its cloud-based services. Investors will also focus on its proposed $69 billion deal to buy video game publisher Activision Blizzard Inc. on Wednesday, which will be the 27th. On Wednesday, the 27th, Facebook owner Meta Platforms Inc. will report first quarter earnings after the bell on Wednesday. In January, the social media and technology company posted a weaker than expected forecast. Okay, we all know that. We all know what happened to Facebook the last time it reported its earnings outcomes. It plunged. Say in January, the social media and technology company posted a weaker than expected forecast, blaming Apple's privacy changes and increased competition for users from rivals like TikTok. Separately, on Thursday, which will be the 29th, Twitter Inc. is expected to post a rise in first quarter revenue, but a drop in profit hit by privacy changes to Apple's iOS. So a lot of big companies are all affected by Apple. So you can see Apple is really important with its platforms and its operating systems. So Wall Street will also be interested in updates on Elon Musk's $43 billion to take Twitter private, and we also know that he has indicated that he has borrowed for $6 billion. So you can see that the figure is climbing. It's no more. He has borrowed $46 billion. That might be an indication that he knows that he probably has to pay more for the company if he has to take it private. And moving on the U.S. economic schedule, the Commerce Department is scheduled to release its advanced estimate of gross domestic of GDP on Thursday, the 29th. In the first quarter, it is likely to have risen 1.1% after increasing at a 6.9% rate. On Friday will be the 29th, I think. Okay, well, I got it all wrong. Yeah, 29th. The core personal consumption CPI or PCE, the core personal consumption expenditures price index, is likely to have risen 0.3% in March after gaining 0.4% in February. Personal income is expected to have risen 0.4% in March after gaining 0.5% in the earlier month. On Tuesday, the 26th, orders for durable goods in US is expected to have risen 1% in March after falling to 2.1% in February. Meanwhile, orders excluding transportation equipment is likely to have risen 0.6% compared to a 0.6% decline in February. The Conference Board in US is expected to release its Consumer Confidence Index for April on Tuesday, the 26th. which is likely to have risen to 108 from a reading of 107.2 in March. Separately, new home sales, new US home sales data due for the same day is likely to have fallen to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 765,000 units in March from 772,000 units in February. Initial claims for US states unemployment benefits data due on Thursday, the 28th of April, is expected to have declined 4,000 to a seasonally adjusted 180,000 for the week ended April 23rd, 2022. Continued jobless claims for the week ending April 16 is also scheduled to be released on the same day. Consumer spending data due on Friday is expected to have risen 0.6% in March, following the 0.2% rise in February. The University of Michigan's final consumer sentiment index due on Friday the 29th is expected to show a reading of 65.7 in April, the same level in March. The National Association, that is in US, the US National Association of Realtors is scheduled to release its pending home sales index on Wednesday the 27th. It's likely to have declined 1.5% in March after declining 4.1% in February. On Friday, employment cost index is expected to have risen 1.1% in the first quarter after increasing 1% in the fourth quarter. Chipmaker Intel is expected to post a drop in quarterly revenue on Thursday the 28th, hurt by softening PC demand as the pandemic-led boom wears off. On Wednesday, Qualcomm is expected to report a rise in second quarter revenue on the back of its diversification efforts to move beyond handset chips to and stronger supply chain management. On Wednesday the 27th, Boeing is set to post a fourth quarter profit compared to a year ago loss, held by recovering commercial aviation. Investors will be looking for forecast for the year or any commentary on resumption of 787 deliveries. GM reports first quarter results on Tuesday the 26th, as Wall Street is growing concerned that supply chain bottlenecks and inflation are threatening the company's 2022 profit outlook. Analysts will also compare GM's results to Tesla's stronger than expected first quarter profits. Separately, on Wednesday the 27th, Ford reports first quarter results amid growing investor concerns at its 2022 outlook. Ford reports first quarter results amid growing investor concerns that supply chain bottlenecks and inflation will force the company to backtrack on its 2022 financial outlook. Exxon is expected to post on Friday the 29th strong upstream results for the first quarter driven by higher oil prices. On the same day, Chevron is expected to post strong upstream earnings for the first quarter driven by higher commodity prices. Wall Street will be looking for updates on indirect Russian exposures. PepsiCo on Tuesday the 26th is expected to report a rise in the first quarter revenue held by higher prices, but profit margins are likely to still be squeezed by higher freight and commodity costs. The impact of the company's decision to curtail operations in Russia will also be on top of the minds of investors. On Thursday, the 28th, McDonald's Corp is expected to post an increase in first quarter revenue held by higher prices and its investments to remodel restaurants in the US. Investors will also be on the lookout for the company's forecasts on the impact of its decision to temporarily close all its 847 restaurants in Russia. On the same day, restaurant chain Domino's Pizza Inc. is expected to post an increase in first quarter revenue as demand for food delivery remains firm. Investors will be on the lookout for comments on commodity inflation and consumer confidence when prices of essentials and gas are soaring. Okay, so let's just quickly go and see what's going on with what happened with MULN. MULN, it's been a bearish last 10 trading sessions for MULN. Let's see, it's for the last trading session it gained 5.7%, but all in all it's the stock has been in a bearish trend since that summer of last year, and of late it tried to I think its popularity slightly grew, but we have seen the last 10 trading sessions it's been seriously battered, but of late we have seen that the volume has just dropped slightly, maybe meaning that sellers have exited or have lost their steam. They've lost their momentum, and probably that's why we saw this 5.7% increase. It's the stock is optionable. Okay, we can see what's going on here. It's optionable, yeah. So let's see what happened with CEI. CEI lost 8.94% as oil futures dropped. CEI is also optionable as well. Penny stock optionable. Okay, let's look at VLON. VLON Pharmaceuticals, again 100.88%. Yes, let's find out what was behind that rally. VLON Pharmaceuticals said on Friday the 22nd of April that it is working with Ladenburg Thalmann & Co. to assess strategic alternatives which may include potential merger, investment or asset acquisitions. The drug maker said the process may not result in any transaction, and it doesn't plan to disclose additional details until it has entered into a specific transaction. The company also said it is currently assessing the best path forward for the development of its attention deficit hyperactivity disorder drug candidate, ADA. Last month it reported that its pivotal trial on ADA failed to meet a preliminary endpoint. Okay, let's see whether there's also another. Okay, it's still the same thing as in pretty much, I think. Okay, still very much the same thing. I think investors are they like that news, that strategic alliance they are trying to come up with. So let's look at MITQ, moving image technologies. It gained 38.26%. What's the news? Okay, moving image technologies, a leading digital cinema technology company, a leading provider of AV technologies, yesterday announced an agreement with QSC. It announced an agreement where QSC will deliver IP, finished goods, and parts inventory, sales, distribution, and services of the USL line of accessibility products to MIT. MIT will also manufacture the USL products on its own facilities going forward. Terms have not been disclosed. MIT has a vision of enabling underserved communities to enjoy the movie-going experience fully. said Joe Delgado, Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing at MIT. We see acquisition of the USL product line as a key expansion. MIT notice moving image technologies. So USL product line is a key expansion of its strategy, as these products enable the hearing and visually impaired to enjoy the cinematic experience. In addition, these products are fully compliant with the ADA and are a requirement for every movie theater in the nation. Okay, so that's some positive news out there for the company. Okay, that's MITQ is just not optionable. Okay, 91.428 million shares across the tape. Okay, so see what you make of all of these things, and I will continue to update you. Thank you very much for joining